John Hook's Newsmaker starts now.
Thank you for joining us on Newsmaker. I'm Ellen McNamara in for John Hook. This week is a big one for the Valley with the WM Phoenix Open, and later on in the program I am talking with the tournament chairman. But now to the deadliest plane crash in a quarter century. A total of 67 people dead when an American Airlines jet collided with a Black Hawk helicopter as the American Airlines plane was about to land at Reagan National Airport in Virginia. There were no survivors. And a number on board, they were connected to the figure skating community. They had just competed in Wichita. Aviation author, expert, and he is still flying today, actually. Adam Silva is joining me now to talk more about this. Adam, thank you for joining me.
Hi, thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so first up, have you heard the air traffic control audio?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so it's my understanding that the American Airlines plane was originally set to land on the main runway, the big runway. And for some reason, it moved to a smaller runway, 33. What have you heard in that air traffic control audio? And did it say why in that audio that it made that change?
Making the change, unfortunately, in hindsight, probably wasn't a good thing, because if they would have stayed on the main runway, runway 1, it wouldn't have been an issue. Runway changes occur quite often whenever you're flying. It could be something as simple as they want to put you on a different runway so they can expedite departing traffic. So it's not uncommon. Personally, as a professional pilot, when I'm cleared to a certain approach, I have a tendency of staying on the same runway. I don't usually accept runway changes last minute. That's technique.
Was that change last minute? Like at what point was that change?
I haven't heard the audio that far back. But
okay.
If you look at the original lineup, he looked like he was lined up for the main runway, which is runway 1. And then you see them on the radar track and maneuvering for runway 33. I don't want to say last minute, but they give you enough time to where you can actually maneuver and get set up for the other runway.
So there wasn't panic or anything. I mean, this was like this was a normal thing that can totally happen, and especially at Reagan. Very routine,
happens all the time. So again, it's not that big of a deal. I don't really think, again, I want to make sure, make this very clear. The Eagle Flight 5342, they didn't do anything wrong from what I understand right now. They were just flying a normal visual approach. ATC cleared them to land. ATC never once mentioned helicopter traffic. And I thought about this, it takes less than 3 seconds for ATC to call out a very simple call. American Flight 5342, caution, traffic low level, east side of the Potomac, use caution. There, I've just made it up out of nowhere. I'm not even a controller. That took 2 to 3 seconds. That one call to 5342 might have clued the pilots in to say, hey, somebody's down there. Even though we have a thing on the aircraft called TCAS, which stands for Traffic Collision and Avoidance System. That basically will tell us where all their aircraft are. And at certain altitudes, if aircraft get within a certain proximity of one another, usually between 20 to 30 seconds from impact, you'll get what's known as a resolution advisory. And it'll actually tell me to climb or descend and tell the other aircraft to climb or descend to keep us from hitting each other.
Got it. The
TCAS is it's inhibited below 1,000 feet AGL, which makes sense. We don't want to have a resolution advisory telling us to descend when we're already, 1,000 feet above the ground. That could cause an accident. So that's inhibited. So what you're hearing in the cockpit at that point is the traffic alert portion of the TCAS. And what will happen there is you'll hear traffic. The problem is with the Flight 5342, they were already cleared to land, and now they're maneuvering to land the aircraft. So once you're cleared to land, you're always looking for traffic. I'm not saying you're not doing that, but primarily when you're going from a straight into a pseudo circle, is the flight crew is going to be looking at a couple of other things. Number one, they're going to be looking at the airspeed. Number two, they're going to be looking at the runway. They're going to be going to circle the land in to try to get some sort of a visual slope indicator, a VASI, a PAPI, something that's going to give us a visual depiction of our angle to the runway. That way we're not too high, we're not too low. We're basically on glide slope. In Top Gun, they call it call the ball, right? So it's kind of the same thing. So those pilots are not really looking around to see what's going on. They're looking at airspeed, runway, aiming point. That's what they're doing. So again, I don't want to put anything on the American Airlines guys, and the crew. I don't, from right now, I don't believe that they were in the wrong.
And the NTSB, we know, obviously they're investigating. A lot is going on behind the scenes right now, and we understand that they have recovered the cockpit voice recorder, the flight data recorder. Those have been recovered. That will tell us a lot. We, though, know, and as we are taping this interview right now on Friday, that there have been a lot of new videos that have come out of this collision, and you have seen those videos.
Yes.
What, in your opinion, and when you saw the helicopter, in your opinion, was it in the wrong? Like, where was this helicopter going? Where was it supposed to be in relation to that plane?
Okay, well, I actually have the route that the helicopter was supposed to fly over the Potomac, and it's public knowledge. Well, it should be public for pilots. You can overlay the helicopter routes on your charts. So that helicopter was going from a Route 1 to a Route 4, which takes us over Haines's Point, which is right on the other side of the Potomac River. They're supposed to be staying at approximately 200 feet AGL. From Haines's Point, the helicopter is supposed to go due south to pick up the easternmost portion of the coastline there on the Potomac and then track that southbound.
And what does AGL mean? Sorry to stop you.
Above ground level. So,
okay.
You know, if you jump up
yep.
and you get off the ground, you're 2 feet AGL.
Okay.
So it's that. So above ground level. So the helicopter needed to stay at 200 feet.
Okay.
And they're supposed to fly over a certain track. What was curious, I compared the radar track to what they should have flown, and two things are interesting. The helicopter didn't fly a due south route off of Haines's Point. It started an angle towards DCA, which shouldn't have done that, not to mention the fact that they were about 100, in some instances I'm hearing up to 200 feet high on altitude. So to put this into context, to make it to where it's very simple for people to understand, having a helicopter cross an extended center line at low altitude to one of the busiest runways in the United States is the same thing as an elementary school putting a crosswalk across the I-10 during rush hour.
Wow. And
on top of that, not having the proper staff to put a crossing guard there.
Right.
The helicopter should have never been there. Or, I mean, they've been there in the past. I've flown in and out of DCA quite a bit. There's a lot of traffic. Now, you look at some of the other videos and you see the helicopter going just straight into the CRJ. And you're like, God, how could that happen? Well, if you think about it, the helicopter pilot's flying south, and there's a crew of 3. So from what I understand, there was a pilot, there was an instructor, and there was a check airman. There was no crew chief on board that day, which probably there would have been a crew chief. Things might have ended a little differently. My opinion. I don't know that for a fact, just my opinion.
And does the crew chief, are they, for someone who doesn't know, like myself, does the crew chief, are they just responsible for kind of just being the lookout, essentially?
Yes, yeah, they can. I mean, typically a crew chief is the in-flight mechanic. It's
okay.
Maybe the helicopter. But in cruise flight like that, they're just another set of eyes. Yeah. Anytime you've got a crew on board an aircraft, whether you're a flight attendant, pilot, a captain, co-pilot, mechanic, everybody has got a shared task of helping to look out for traffic. And if the crew chief would have been there, he could have seen the aircraft. And I'm hypothesizing, but as the helicopter is traveling south, you have Reagan National Controller saying, Pat 23 or Pat 25, do you see the CRJ? Well, very bad. That's a very bad question from ATC. Number one, it's night. You can't tell what kind of an aircraft it is. You can see an aircraft because you have the red nav lights and the green nav lights and the white position indicator position lights plus strobes. The problem is you can't tell what type of an aircraft it is at night because you can't see it. So instead, the controller should have taken an extra 2 or 3 seconds to say, Pat 25, traffic 12 o'clock, 1,000 feet, descending runway 33, CRJ, advise traffic in sight, pass behind. That would have told the helicopter guys and girls, okay, here's exactly where the traffic is. Let's identify it, steer clear. Instead, they just said, hey, do you have the CJ or RJ in sight? Well, they saw another aircraft taking off at the exact same time. So they were assuming that was the aircraft. Now, if you followed the track southbound, both the crew members and probably the check airmen were looking to the west. They're looking right. they were looking to the left, and that's right where the aircraft was, the RJ was coming in, the one that they were supposed to see, but they didn't see. So the helicopter crew, they believed they were doing it right. They believed, oh, we see the aircraft, we're going to stay behind it.
They acknowledged it too.
They acknowledged it because they did see it. They didn't do anything wrong. They saw what they believed they should have seen because air traffic control was not specific in what they were supposed to be looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a problem.
And because Reagan is such a busy airport, I think that's what's so difficult too, is because, and I mean, you travel, you fly so much. You can get caught up in the routine of things, right? And if you're in air traffic control or if you're flying I mean, we all do. We get caught up in the routine of life, the routine of our jobs. But unfortunately, one mistake, one miscommunication, and then we have nearly 70 people dead.
Well, and I'm going to say this. I know I feel bad for the controller. I mean, I feel bad for everybody involved.
Yeah.
The controller, first of all, in order to become a controller at an airport like DCA, LaGuardia, JFK, Miami, LAX, these guys are tip of the spear. These people are tip of the spear.
Yeah.
Been doing it a long time. So, and I'll draw another parallel. Everybody's seen somebody juggle. Some people can juggle 3 balls, they're doing great. They juggle 4 balls, they're doing great. Juggle 5 balls. Heck, I know guys that can juggle 5 balls. They do a good job at it. You throw in that 6th ball, everything falls apart.
Yeah.
So this poor person, he's trying to work 2 frequencies because the tower chief let somebody go early. So now this individual is responsible for controlling helicopter traffic and fixed wing traffic. And bear in mind, military traffic doesn't communicate on the same frequency civilians do. We communicate on what's known as VHF frequency, which stands for very high frequency. Military communicates on UHF or ultra high frequency. So we don't even hear what's going on between the military and the civilian pilots, which really hurts our situation awareness because we don't know where they're at. We don't know what they're doing. So you have one controller who's working 2 different frequencies that are sharing the exact same airspace, not to mention the fact that the controller should have seen the helicopter was high. They should have seen the helicopter was off of route. And even the most kindest way of telling the helicopter to check your altitude is give them an altitude, give them an altimeter setting. That's how you set the local altimeter setting to where everybody's on the same altitude. Or just say check altitude. When I was examiner with the FAA, of giving somebody a check ride and they're off 200 feet on a check ride, that is a disapproval. 100 feet can be a disapproval. 100 feet was the difference between life and death at this airport.
Interesting. Well, we know that a preliminary investigation will be complete in about a month, according to the NTSB. And again, I mean, our thoughts are with all of the families involved. And Adam Silva, thank you so much for coming on. We've learned a lot. I know that we could talk probably a lot more about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And coming up here, the WM Phoenix Open getting underway this week, 2024. It was a wild tournament and adjustments, they are being made. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Welcome back. All week long, many eyes will be on the Valley and Scottsdale. The WM Phoenix Open is getting underway. The concert in the Coliseum happening tonight. As for the golf tournament, some adjustments are being made. And Tournament Chairman Matt Mooney is joining me now to talk about the tournament. Matt, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, so I was at the news conference following the 2024 tournament. You guys had rain, a lot of rain, like 3 days of rain, and that certainly did complicate things. The tournament, though, it did go viral for some of the wrong reasons. And we have to be honest, everybody has a phone and everyone has a camera on their phone now. So if people are acting a fool and if people are drunk as a skunk, it's going to be everywhere on social media. And frankly, that's kind of what happened. There were some ticket problems too. So what are you guys doing this tournament to prevent some of what happened in 2024?
Yeah, so we've made our mantra for 2025 better, not bigger. And, you know, I think to your point, we know that we encountered really unprecedented weather conditions for us last year that created a lot of challenges across the golf course. And so, you know, while that's probably the root cause of most of the challenges, we we use this as an opportunity to really reflect on the fan experience, the player experience, and make some key changes that we feel like will be really impactful for the tournament going forward, regardless of the weather that we may experience. I'll give you a few of those. The largest is that we've added an additional entrance to the golf course. So that is now off of Greenway Hayden Loop, just past the Frank Lloyd Wright intersection. It's our third entrance to the golf course. That'll be key for those high traffic times, especially during the middle of the day, Friday, Saturday. But it also just gives fans more optionality. We have a lot of people that walk into the golf course from the south along Frank Lloyd Wright. And so now it gives them a way to enter the tournament really right at the 18th tee. So for all of those fans that are trying to access 16, 17, 18, we just made their walk a lot shorter. So we're excited about that optionality. It also gives them more options when they exit. It's, allows you to just quickly get out of the tournament. And so that's going to be a big one for us. The other one is a ticketing change that we made. We have always had an any day general admission ticket. So fans could purchase a ticket at the beginning of the week and choose last minute which day they wanted to attend the tournament. Those don't exist anymore. You now have to purchase a day specific ticket. The general admission tickets are also all fully digital now, which will help at our entrances. But that day specific ticket allows us to control our crowds exactly to the number each day. And so that will be impactful. And then we've made some changes to the course as well, which we're excited about, that are going to continue to really enhance the fan experience, especially for those general admission fans. And so we're really excited about where we are and how this edition of the tournament is shaping up.
Yeah, and in 2024 too, there were some moments, and we know what the 16th hole is all about. I mean, it's rowdy. That's the way that it is. But there were a few moments where some of the guys were being heckled out on the course, frankly, a little too much. And it did get a little out of hand. And you could see that the pros were getting annoyed. Was there any kind of discussion about how do we rein some of that in? And because you want the pros to want to come back, because ultimately it is about having a great golf tournament.
That's right. Yeah, we're fortunate to have an amazing relationship with the PGA Tour and directly with a lot of the players themselves. And, I'll tell you, last year, 48 hours after the tournament, Chance Cosby, our executive director, and I were on a plane. We had an opportunity to go over to Riviera, the next stop after us, and spend time with the Player Advisory Council and really get real-time feedback from the players on their experience to make sure that we were factoring that into the changes that we were evaluating. Fortunately, the players were stuck in the same weather that we were all experiencing and recognized the difficulties that were because of that. And so, the feedback was overwhelmingly a couple little tweaks here and there, but they love this golf tournament. They love being in this environment, the energy of this, the uniqueness of it on tour, the fact that it is by far the largest event on the PGA Tour. And so it was good feedback, but nothing that gave us, major concern. And so we're really excited. And frankly, we're seeing, the field come together. We think this will be one of our strongest fields in the history of the tournament this year. And so that's been good validation from the players that, they're really voting with their feet.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Scotty Scheffler is coming back, that is validation. Who are some of the other pros that have committed to?
Yeah, so you mentioned Scotty Scheffler, two-time champion of the tournament, who's trying to become the first three-time in a row champion last year since Arnold Palmer. Hideki Matsuyama, who's won the tournament twice, is committed. Billy Horschel's back. Ricky Fowler. We've got really a world-class field. Jordan Spieth, Sam Burns, and a number of announcements that we're also going to bring out later this week. And so it's shaping up incredibly well. And we're excited to show the players the changes that we've made. I'll give you kind of a cool stat. We've built 1,100 feet, over 1,100 feet of player bridges around the course. So places that players can span up and over high traffic areas, places that allow them to easily traverse hillsides. And so, we love the fact that we have the most unique fan environment on the PGA Tour, and we're making conscious effort to provide the players the best experience that we can to make that world class as well.
You know, this is also about the Thunderbirds, and you have been a Thunderbird for a while now, for almost a decade, I believe.
Yeah.
Talk about what you guys do in the community, the money that is raised through the tournament, and why it's so important, because I feel like sometimes that does get lost in the tournament.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking about that. You're exactly right. I mean, that's the driving force for us as an organization. You know, the Thunderbirds were created in 1937 by the Phoenix Chamber to promote the Valley of the Sun through sports. And we've been fortunate that the tournament has been so successful that it's allowed us to be a significant charitable donor to this community. We just surpassed $200 million in charitable giving since the inception of the tournament, 17.5 million of that last year.
Okay, so let's talk about the week ahead, because there is a jam-packed week ahead. We, of course, talk about, you know, the concerts and the practice rounds and whatnot, the pro-am too. But let's talk about, I guess on Tuesday, there's also a Special Olympics challenge. Talk about that.
Yeah.
Tuesday, what's going on there?
Yeah, so, you know, Monday, Tuesday are really cool days. I think for us, we have an amazing partnership with Arizona Ford dealers that allows us to offer what we call Ford Free Days, and that means that anybody can get into the golf tournament for free on Mondays and Tuesdays. And when you think about the scale of this event and the demand for tickets, it's pretty unique to be able to do that. We pride ourselves on being the People's Open, and those free Monday, Tuesday tickets are an important part of how we do that. And on Tuesday, we do have a couple of really special events. There's an event called Dream Day, which is where we bring in a bunch of First Tee students from around the Valley. They get a chance to watch a tour player and some well-known Valley athletes hit shots and put on a little clinic for them. And then you move over to the putting green on the stadium course, and we've got our Special Olympics putting contest. Again, several big name Valley athletes are always there to support that. And, you know, it's a perfect way for us to kick off the week, because it really highlights that relationship that we're fortunate to have with Special Olympics throughout the year.
And then the Pro-Am, I know that there are some Diamondbacks that are going to be participating. As a former soccer player, Carly Lloyd, which is awesome that she's going to be here. Talk about some of the others who are going to be participating.
Yeah, we got a world-class field in the Pro-Am on Wednesday. We love watching how many celebrities want to come experience this atmosphere. You mentioned our hometown D-backs. We've got Corbin Burns, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and Tori Lavello will all be out here playing. Jonathan Gannon, the Cardinals head coach, Larry Fitzgerald, and then some names outside of our hometown teams. You mentioned Carly Lloyd, who is an incredible Olympic story. Michael Phelps, arguably the greatest of all time in the Olympic world. And then, you know, Jelly Roll has decided to play, Rob Riggle. So there's going to be a little bit of something for everyone on Wednesday. It's one of my favorite days, and the energy should be spectacular. And
Jelly Roll is also performing too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Jelly's going to kick off the week for us. We're really proud to have him on Wednesday night. I don't know if there's a faster rising name in country music than Jelly Roll, so he'll play our Wednesday night Bird's Nest, and then he is going to play in the Pro-Am that day as well.
Okay, so how often are you watching the weather forecast? Because I know we have been watching it, but frankly, the 10-day forecast looks phenomenal, and I think you guys probably are feeling pretty good about where it looks right now.
Yeah, about a month ago, I was Googling long-range weather forecasts to try to get an early look at it, but we check it every morning, and it does look like it's going to be spectacular, and so grateful for that. You know, this event is such a wonderful chance to showcase this community that we all love, and we have so many people that travel really from all over the world to see this, and so we want them to experience the Phoenix that we all know and love, which is usually 72 and sunny, and so hopefully we'll get that and get a chance to showcase what the Valley's all about.
Yeah, I think it's good. We got the rain out of the way, you know, the last couple of days, so it's going to be sunny and perfect for the tournament. But yeah, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope that you have a wonderful tournament. Obviously, golf is the priority, but there are so many other things happening too this week, and it really does make the Valley shine. So thanks so much. We wish you the best of luck all week long.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, and we appreciate the support.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for joining us. John Hook will be back next week.